Hello everyone, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of the Ruby Girl Talk with your favorite Ruby Girl. Dr. K had to hesitate just a little bit so y'all can think about who your favorite Ruby Girl is. So tonight it's about to be live. We about to have a great talk with Dr. Tiffany. And Dr. Tiffany is an author, but we're gonna get into it right after I say well, better yet, educate y'all about the Ruby Girl brand. So, Dr. Tiffany, what I want you to do is go on my page, find this video, and share it with your people. Now, if you want me to, I can do it for you. It might cost you like $1 million, but and that's a discount tonight. I promise you that's a discount tonight. So, anyway, the Ruby Girl brand comes from Proverbs 31 and 10. Who can find a virtuous woman for her price is far above the price of a ruby? So, ladies, listen, this is for you. It makes you rare, virtuous, and valuable if you didn't even know that you were valuable. So connect with rubygirl.net. And so while you're there, get a t-shirt, rock the brand. Let everybody know that you're a virtuous woman, that you're a priceless princess. And so anyway, let's get this show started. So tonight we're going to have Dr. Tiffany to introduce herself. Give us a 30-second earth-shattering introduction.
All right. I was trying to share the post, but hello, everyone. I am Dr. Tiffany Sayles. Truly grateful to be on tonight with Dr. K. I am a professor, psychologist, author, and founder of Divinely Resilient Creations. I'm a wife, proud mother of three girls, and I'm a contributing writer for Moments for Moms magazine and Moments for Moms anthology. My work is based on faith, resilience, and empowering families and communities. And you can connect with me at drtiffanySales.com or by email at tiffanySales2024@gmail.com.
All right, I felt the earth shatter, girl. You got it. All right, let's get started tonight. So, Dr. Tiffany, now I looked at your bio and you are a community leader. That's the best way I can sum up everything that you do. You about community, you about helping people grow, you served on schools. So, what made you realize that the work that you're doing now is part of your purpose?
I think I realized that the work that I do now that was part of my purpose when I recognized how much people, especially children, needed support. They needed encouragement and someone just to believe in them. Working with students of all ages, because I've been in education since 2005 and in community spaces, it showed me that my presence and my heart, that it really made a difference in the lives of those students. And God continues to put me in places and spaces where I can help people heal and grow. And also, most importantly, that they can be seen. And I've enjoyed even healing parts of me through this process as well. So I just think God entrusts me with various positions, working with people of all ages, and it's really meaningful for me.
So I'm asking a question that I know the audience is just wanting to know. How do you work with kids these days? Because I've heard people that work with kids and they're saying like somebody was talking about they were working with like, third and fourth graders, and they were saying how the kids were I wouldn't say violent, but they said the kids was kind of rough. How are you finding that the children that you encounter are?
I think I'm very fortunate because of my role. So my heart does go out to teachers because they're in a class all day with students and whomever they have to know how to work with them. I'm fortunate to be a push in, pull out. So when I see students, I'm typically pulling them out of class. I have their one on one attention. Or if I'm in the class, I'm observing them within the classroom. And my experience has been if a student knows that they are seen, if they know you see them where they are, no matter the behaviors or whatever, and that you're trying to understand them. Again, my role is different. I typically have great and I work the job I currently work, I work throughout the system. So I see students of various age groups. And I think because maybe it's part of the call of my life, but letting them know that I see you, especially those who have the behavior challenges, I see you and we can grow and be better and just encouraging them. So I think it's the capacity and also sometimes the mindset because all children aren't anything. We
Mm.
sometimes stereotype and put them all in about all children aren't anything. Every child is a unique individual, and being able to see a child for that and seeing them beyond their behaviors, I think that makes a difference. But again, that's the role that I'm in. I'm not saying anything about those who may be in the classroom because behaviors are increasing and it can be more difficult to manage when you're trying to manage 2025, all who have unique situations and circumstances. But my experience has not been that.
You know, when I first got saved, I ended up teaching this Sunday school class, and they had like the I was told they were like the worst kids, you know. And so I had no experience of working with kids. I had just started liking kids, I'm gonna be for real. And so when I was teaching them, God actually helped me to see that some of their behavior was linked to maybe like they couldn't read good. Like, you know, I would ask this one young man to read, and he would always act out in class and everything. And so God told me, he said, read with him, so that way if he don't know a word, he repeating what you said. And so when I started doing that, I didn't have any behavior issues with him, and it got to the point that he started volunteering to read, and he started to read better. So I think when you working with kids, sometimes you have to stop and figure out why are they behaving like this. Now, I'm not a psychologist, I haven't worked with a lot of kids, but the Holy Spirit revealed a lot of things to me about children behavior. Have you found that in your case?
100% when you said that. So when I started in education, I was an interventionist. So I worked in different age groups, but mostly middle high. My first role as a school counselor was at a high school. Loved it, enjoyed every minute. But the school counselor at the elementary was looking at retiring, and she kept saying, "Tiffany, I think you'll be great with these babies." Absolutely not. Now I've always loved kids, babysat, but no, being surrounded with little kids all day, absolutely not. Well, then God called me back to my hometown, and where was I invited to come and work at an elementary school. And I remember having a dream. Honestly, and I'm not a dreamer like that. I had a dream shortly before I started this new position, and I had a dream, and it was a bunch of little Tiffany's surrounding me, and they were pulling on me. And I remember God saying, "Just give them what you needed." That was it. It was like, give them what you needed. And so when I went, I saw, hey, I knew what worked for me. I knew that what took when people took time for me. Give them that. Start there. And it's been wonderful. And that was 20, I started working as an elementary class 2010.
Mm,
And I wouldn't have changed it for anything. And I told that counselor, I wish I would have listened to you sooner, but I love them because they're so impressionable and they want to be seen. Even if they come from great homes and good families, they still want you to notice them. So when they
mm.
have your attention, it's just a different. But it's a matter of our mindsets, and again, meeting them where they are, and remembering. I know I had some issues when I was younger at times, so
Mm.
remembering that they just need that care. So I think that makes a difference when you know it's a calling.
You know, and I think parents sometimes, because they're inside the relationship with their child, that they may not, just like you, seek to understand. A lot of times they don't seek to understand, they seek to discipline. And so I remember, like you said, growing up, and I always wanted somebody to come rescue me, to come help me, and so that person wasn't there. So I found that now that I'm older, I try to be that person for people, because I understood about being that little girl that wished that somebody would notice me, notice what I was going through, notice that I was being bullied, notice I was unhappy. And it seemed like nobody did. Now, I do remember one of my cousins, and God rest her soul, she started taking me over to her house for the weekend, and she started, you know, just doing my hair and stuff. To this day, I don't know why I never asked her why she did it, but it made such a difference. That kindness, that
Mhm.
attention. And I was confused at first, but after a while, I liked it that she was taking time with me. So sometimes with children, like you say, I noticed that you kind of kept that the common theme was time, being noticed, but spending time with them
Yes,
is
we like
important.
it as adults, so they like that too. We like
Yeah,
to
we got
talk.
We got to understand kids don't process like we do.
Exactly.
They're not miniature adults, and I think that's what the world forgets, and that's what the world is trying to make them be, as miniature adults. They're not. They're children. Their minds have not developed. They think different. They process different. Imagine you working on your job and you've been there 4 years, but here's somebody that's been there 30. So
Mhm.
this person only been on earth 4 years or 5 years, and you expect them to know how to process life. No, you have to take time with the babies. So you took that purpose and became a writer, for Moments for Mom. So tell us about that magazine.
Well, pretty much I was introduced to it through the anthology first.
Okay.
Visionary and publisher Juanita Woodson, she created a space I didn't even know about. It was a virtual community catered to a faith-centered, just beautiful community, committed to uplifting and supporting mothers and women. So I was invited by a coworker to be a part of the anthology. And when I entered into that community, it was, I mean, again, I'm old school, so I'm more about face to face connections. And I said, this is really, I could have started, it was a safe space. And so that anthology just brought me into this world of support, have a Facebook book group. Women always encourage, and sometimes they even inbox you, encouraging messages. So that was part of how I became involved. And then I later found out about the magazine, which was another component of that. And so it's pretty much an opportunity for us as women who walked different walks of life coming together to share our triumphs, our joys, as well as our struggles and challenges, and motivating other women to share theirs as well. So I love that it's supportive, because I hate to say it, oftentimes in our community,
Mhm.
African American community with women, at times it can be seen as messy or competitive, but I can truly say this was a has and has consistently been a supportive space, and that's important to me. Um, where we can just come together on one accord. People may put their prayer requests. They may tell you a challenge they're going through, or their successes, or I got a new job, or I finished my last treatment, and it's just a wonderful rallying community. And then we just share through writing as well. So through the anthologies, through the magazine, through podcast interviews, we just share collectively in that
And
community.
so, how important is support for a mom?
It is everything for me. I'll speak for me. And that's what I was going to mention earlier, even about the educators. My best friend, she often says that sometimes we speak in general statements, but we have to learn to say, in my experience. And so, in my experience, support has been life or death for me, because there was a time where um, I don't know how I adopted the notion that I'm good. I'm good by myself. I'm going to rock this out, take care of my family, do my thing, come home, and be okay. But no, a supportive community is what kept me. When my family, I had poured everything I could into them. And as much as I love them, it requires a lot to manage a household and raise children, especially girls. I needed someone pouring into me. So it took me a while to embrace that. But once I did, I recognized I can't go without support. I need it as a necessity for me. And so I
Mm.
can't speak for anyone else. But for me, it has been a saving grace. I've been through a few dark seasons within the last few years, and it was the support of community, a couple of women, my pastors that's just been there walking me through. I couldn't have done it without them.
Support is important because, sometimes, we as African American women are we kind of expect ourselves to be able to handle everything, but God did not build us for a one womanship. The word God is all about community because He doesn't work by Himself. God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Why do we think that we have to be everything? Super mom, super worker, super wife. We try to take on three roles all at one time. So eventually, what happens is it wears on our body.
Mhm.
It breaks us down even mentally. But I'm glad that you say community is so important to us. And I like that you started off with the anthology. Tell us what you wrote about an anthology.
So even I was want to mention even in that support, when we wrote the anthology, we don't see what each other our stories, they just come together at the end. So our first one was I think Stories of Resilience. I should have had it right here by me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's right here. Hold on. I can tell you the title. But it was 22 of us, inspiration and wisdom for every season of motherhood. And so when I was reading these ladies' stories, and I promise you, when we received the draft, I refused to look at it because look at theirs. I just looked at mine. But when I
Mhm.
received the book in my hand and I was going through them, I said, I don't know any of these women. I didn't know any of them personally. So much of our stories like intertwine or see we were sharing similar scriptures. It's like these are strangers from around the world and our stories are similar. And that's where, and this, mind you, was a very dark season. It was entering into my dark season when I was introduced to this community that I know I never knew I needed. But God is so intentional. And in that, because again, I like people up close, personal, people I can reach out and touch, and I'm blessed with those persons. You could have never told me that I would have had an online community where I could trust these people, but it was so intimate. And so the anthology, once we published it and I was able to read every single chapter I read, I would inbox that female, that woman, and say, this is how your chapter touched me because it was that powerful. And it made me want to remain, it made me even, it felt even more safe in that community. So I continue to
Sometimes,
engage.
sometimes you have to create community. It's got to be the one person that reaches out, the one person that says, "Hey, sis, this or that." And when you reach out to somebody and you give them a compliment, it does make a difference, you know. And I was thinking about you talking about how y'all didn't know each other, but y'all came up with similar scriptures and everything blended. Kind of remind me of how the Bible
Yeah,
came together. The Bible is really like an anthology.
it
I just
is.
thought about that. I
Think
never
about
thought
that.
about that because it's different writers, but the thing were they were all over the world, wrote at different times, but somehow it came together. That's how I know the word of God is so real. Because think if we tried to write a book like that now without any computers to help us, there's no way things would correlate like they did. I just find the anthology, the Bible anthology, so interesting, you
That
know?
is interesting. That's a very
Yeah,
interesting
it's the
concept.
oldest anthology if you think about it. Oh, we got Revelation tonight, Dr. T.
Yes. And that's what I love about Juanita is that she saw the need. She's younger. She's probably one of the younger ones of all of us. She's, I won't have to share age, but she's younger. And she just saw a need. God gave her a vision and she shows up faithfully, consistently all the time, not just in the community. She'll text you thinking about you. She has a full life, work full time, has a whole family. But when I say the show up is there, and it's just from her saying yes, I'll create this space because it was something she felt like she needed, and she's opened up so many doors for many of us, helped us publish our first books and things like that. So it's
Hmm.
just different, but it's
So,
mhm.
could you share like the last story you wrote for them in the anthology?
Well, our volume 5 will be coming out end of this year, and the name
Okay.
of that chapter is entitled "Shifting My Narrative, Embrace and Support," which you were just talking about.
Oh,
It was new for me. So yes, shifting the narrative from what you said earlier. I'm in this alone. I'm supposed to do this alone. I'm super this. I'm super that. I got this. I can handle this. Don't let people too close because you don't want to be disappointed or they got their own stuff going on. Don't bother them. Just all of the things that I had embraced, didn't realize it. And I had a moment. My best friend and I worked together at the time, and she knew me. We've been friends over 30 years, and she knew something was off with me for some time. And I kept, oh, I'm good, girl. All is well. I'm good. And one day she broke down and she started crying. And she basically said, it is so unfair, Tiffany, how you show up for everybody. Anytime you show up, but you don't let anybody show up for me. And this is me for you. And this is me. This is your ride or die. Like you're treating me like you treat others. She knew that I was guarded. She knew there was just some things I wouldn't allow some people to know or do. She was like, "This is me, and you're treating me like that." And so that was very eye opening for me, and I had to
mm,
revisit it. What narrative was I holding to that I did not realize? and how I needed to embrace support. So it's really talking about me learning how to embrace support, and I'm still processing that. That's still challenging at times for me.
I think sometimes asking for support feel like it's a weakness. Asking for help and asking for support is two different things. It's like asking for help if you're in the water drowning. Yeah, I need help. Asking for support is like you rowing a boat and you like, hey, I need you to grab the oars back there and help me. That's the difference. And I think we need to look
That's
at help and
good.
support differently. It's okay to ask for support. I think about when Moses when they were, let me see, I think it was Moses when they were going to war and they held up his arms, and long as they held up his arms, they were winning. But when they would let his arms down, they wouldn't win. I think I do believe. I know some
Yes, yes,
Bible scholars out there.
yes.
Yeah. So that shows you we all need support. They wasn't helping Moses because he wasn't one fighting, but because his arms were held up, they were winning. So we got to know it's okay to say sis, especially if that's your best friend, especially if that's someone that you consider to be close in your circle. It's okay to show them that, hey, I'm not 100% today. But if you're a leader, which I can tell that you're a leader, it's hard to do because you've been taught as leaders that you have to always be strong, don't show any weakness, because then people start to judge your leadership. But today we got to just be open and honest. I'm always open and honest. I tell my group, this is my weakness, I tell them this is what I'm going through, because I feel like when you're being real and honest with people, they can connect with you better. So we're going to take a break, a 1 minute break. So what I'm gonna have you do during the break is say anything you want to for 1 minute, but give us your contact information, and I'm gonna go see what everybody has been on social media, what they've been saying about us. You were able to share this video with your people, right?
I did.
Okay. All right. Well, it's on you. Take over, Dr. Tiffany.
Mhm. All right. So I would just say and encourage every listener who's tuning in right now, or maybe you're watching this on a replay. I want you to remember this, that you are stronger than you think. Life will stretch you in ways you never thought imaginable. Trust me. But it will also shape you through that stretching. Learn to trust the process and embrace the strength you are gaining from the stretching. I work with Divinely Resilient Creations. It's all about creating tools to help women and children embrace faith and purpose. So, whether it's through me speaking, mentoring, through my books, my goal is to honor my story while pouring back into others, and also helping them to share their story. So, you can learn more about me and the work that I do at my website at drtiffanySayles.com.
All right. Girl, you rocked that. And did your 60 minutes. So we got Ty out there. We got Cherie out there. Hey, Cherie.
Hey, y'all.
And and then Ty says, as a mother, a supportive community outside the home is so important and needed for good mental health. You are so right. So we got a few more people out there watching. They're keyboard shy, but that's okay. We want to thank those that commented, those that are out there watching. But you're right, mothers need support because you need a mom that you can go to and talk about some things. My child going through this, and if the mom have older children, she might be like, oh, I know what she's going through. So it's very important to form community. And that's why if you're a mom, you need to connect with Dr. Tiffany. I can tell motherhood is her thing. It ain't my thing,
Mhm.
but it's her thing. So contact her, not me. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Okay. So now we're on the second part of the show. And so we're gonna talk about some books that she's have written, a book she has written, and a book that she's writing. Girlfriend ain't playing with this authorship, y'all. So what inspired you to begin writing for children? We know you love children, work with children, so it probably answers itself, but we need to hear from you. And what do you hope that people receive from your books?
Well, honestly, the short answer is it was God. My passion is women and mothers, and that's who I wanted to write to. But that's the short of it. But also, like you said, I love children. I've always loved to read, and my children, they have a love for reading. My husband and I both were avid readers, and that was just a part of our children upbringing. I remember my oldest, even when we had our second child, having her in the corner reading to her. So children books have always been a major part of our family, our household. So when I had this opportunity and the Lord said, "Yeah, you're writing a children's book," I chose to do that. Kids, like I said earlier, they're very impressionable, and sometimes they just need to see something different. They need to see, and they need to know, and you can learn a lot through a book. Books took me everywhere in my imagination. So I was excited to have the opportunity to put a skit from 13 years ago into the form of a book. And that book is all about affirming a child's worth, telling them who they are, reminding them who they are, and the power of their voice. And so I hope that every child walks away from We Say feeling affirmed and encouraged, and having pride in who they are, not what anyone else says that they are, but no, having pride in who they know they are. And that's how we've raised our girls, and I want to be able to instill that in other children, even if it's through a book.
Wow, you sound like such an awesome mother. Are you adopting?
Was was I adopted?
No, are you adopting?
I'm not.
I mean, somebody that's like grown, fourth daughter. So let's talk about your book, We Say.
Yes.
Tell us why you wrote that book.
Yes, I know I kind of got a little ahead of myself, but
That's okay.
really I wrote it because God said so. But also back to Juanita, and I know I give her a lot of props, but again, I'm at least 10 years older than her. But God put her in my life for such a time as this. And when I told her the vision of, I'm thinking about maybe doing this, because going through the anthology project made me see that authorship really is a possibility. And she was just so easy to work with. And so she'll just sit, kind of like you and I talked the other day. She'll just listen. And after she listened, she started casting vision. And she was like, oh, well, I see this, and that. So she got me excited. So I signed on with Grace for Purpose Publishing, and she took that vision and she helped me run with it, along with my marketing strategist, kid specialist, Paula Banks. So they were like a dynamic duo that helped me. But they helped me to bring life to the words, because I'm a words person, love words, but they are visually gifted as well. And so they were able, because I was trying to imagine, how do you take a skit and give it the life in a book? Like, I love books, but how do you do that? And they strategically helped me do that. And so We Say, as I mentioned before, it teaches self-talk, positive self-talk, because we're talking to ourselves all day. And I've heard children, little kids, say some of the worst things about themselves. So it's helping children understand that their voices are important and that they matter. Um, and then the book is intended to empower and affirm the students' voices, yeah, and inspire. It truly inspired the child in me when we wrote the skit years ago. It inspired my children, because one of my children had a part in writing the skit. And then knowing all the children I've worked with, seeing the power of affirmations. Every school that I've been a school counselor, I was allowed to write an affirmation that we would say every single morning at whatever school. And it would be different for the two schools I worked at. And seeing children light up. The beautiful, I'll say this, the last school that I was a school counselor at was 5 years ago. I had the opportunity to go into their after school program this year with my book. And these babies, who I think were kindergarten when I left, still could recite that affirmation that they say on the intercom every morning. That's the power of words. And I wanted that captured in that book.
Wow, because you talked about they say. Talk
Because they
about they
always got
say.
something to say. Always, my whole life, family, friends, enemies, somebody, they always have something to say, unsolicited or not. But what do you say? Because I tell people, whose voice do you hear the most? Your own. So what do you say?
Wow.
That's important.
Yeah,
That can
because you
come.
hear
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
you you hear people, yeah, they say this and they say that. Who is the they?
Exactly. And if you can identify them,
Who are they?
who are exactly, what what are they doing for you? Nah. There,
And
and people's voice can be valuable. I have wonderful mentors and leaders and teachers that I glean from, but nobody's voice trumps his voice. And
amen.
then I'm
I
trying to say, about me what he says about me. So okay.
Because you know, when you were talking about when we were talking about the supportive mom part and everything, and the things you were saying that you were hearing is very common. It was like I'm like, she's in my head because I heard those things. Oh, you got it. You don't need nobody else. So that shows you there is a they say out there that's putting these thoughts in our head, like, oh, you got it. You don't need support. If you need support, then you being weak. And oh, what about your faith in God? Just have a whole
Mhm.
conversation with you. And so that's what I like about your book. We say it's basically like, what do you say about yourself? What do you think about yourself? And so we sometimes are so we place so much weight on what somebody says about us because we figure they're outside of us and they can see us and know us better than we do when they don't know our heart, they don't know our struggle, they don't know our purpose and our plans. Only God knows. But we have to ask ourselves this question, and those that are watching, I want y'all to put in the comments because Dr. Tiffany gonna go back and she gonna look at what you wrote and she gonna assess it. So why do you think we put more weight on what they say than what God has said to us or that we think about ourselves? Why is people opinion so important? And so I think about the part in the Bible where it talks about that they love the praises of man more than they did, I think it says the praises of God. So they were willing to miss salvation just to please the people. And I remember when I read that, I was like, that is really deep. Here you got a chance to go to heaven or a chance to please people, and you choose to please people. That's how Saul lost the crown, honestly. And so I said, people pleasing is very dangerous.
Very much.
What you think, Dr. Tiffany?
I agree. Everything you just said, I think, and I'll answer the question too that you posed to those who are watching. My pastor says that Pastor Tommy Dillon, Senior, shout out the People Place Church. He says a lot of wise nuggets. He says when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. When you don't understand the purpose of your voice and you're putting more weight on the voices of others, then abuse is inevitable. So their words become more powerful because you don't recognize the power of your own voice. And that's not being conceited. That's and making sure your voice is saying the right thing. Because I've heard people say, even in my age and older, I'm stupid. You'll never hear words like that come out of my mouth. I'm fat. I'm this. I am who I am, and I love everything about me and the things that need to be changed. I'm working to change them if they're changeable. Otherwise, I'm cool with me. Because if I'm not, then who else is? How dare I speak higher of someone else than I can speak about myself? To me, that's a disgrace. We train our children for you to talk about yourself or each other. It's like slapping God. It's like saying,
Mm,
"Oh, you made a mistake. I got these dark eyes. You made a mistake. This
mm,
stomach kind of poke. This ain't from babies. This was pre. This was from birth. You made
mm,
a mistake. I'm
mm,
fearfully and wonderfully made. That's what he says. So that's what I say. And so
mm.
anything that's contrary, take it up with my father. He made me. That's just a confidence. That's not an arrogance. That's knowing who you are and whose you are. And that's how I train my children. Has words ever hurt me? Yeah. Have people who close to me have said things maybe not ill intended bother me? Of course. But I still have learned the power of my voice. And you can't tell me otherwise. And people around me know you can't talk like that about yourself around me. I don't want to hear it. Let's flip that. What did you say? Oh, no. Let's look at that differently. You're stupid. Who told you that? So I
Mm.
challenge people, not judging them, just let's talk real. Let's use that power for the good.
Words. I know, what was that? Sticks and stones might break your bones, but words never hurt you. Was that it?
That's it. I actually use that as an opener in some of my lessons, and words kill. And I have the data statistics to show children under the age of 10 who has taken their lives based on bullying through words, not physical bullying, things that people were saying about them. Words kill.
You're right, because if I close my eyes and try to remember how I felt when I got my my one beating, girl. One time I got a beating for taking my auntie's frying pan and I burnt it up and I hid it on the stairs and she had been looking for it and I didn't say nothing. I didn't think she would ever go in the attic. My uncle went in the attic and found it. And so if I close my eyes, I can't remember that pain, how it felt. But if I close my eyes, I remember I can feel that pain of the words that she said to me and how she broke me down before she hit me with that belt. That physical pain, it happened, it's gone. But that mental pain, those words, those little sharp, fiery darts, they pierced me, you know? It was more so with my auntie, not the physical. It was the mental, the words that she said to me that broke me down mentally. Because the smallest person can break down the biggest person with their words. If they said enough, if they talk bad enough, you'll be scared, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, most of the bullies are little. I remember our bully when we were small, and I was big. I've been big. I've always been taller, bigger. Our bully was little bitty. I won't say her name because she might be on Facebook.
Shout it out. Nah.
He was a torturer. But most little, they be the smallest, like they have a point to prove. But you're right. When the word says life and death is in the power of the tongue, not the power of the hands, not how hard you can hit somebody. It's life or death in this tongue. Yeah, it's powerful. It talks about that
You
in James. It's powerful, and the enemy knows it's powerful. And that's why I don't believe it's meant for people to know the power of their voice. Because when you know it, then you'll use it wisely. And
because you're
so,
right. You're so right with that. Because the first thing a abuser does is shut you up.
mhm,
Be quiet. Tell the truth. Don't you tell nobody. A
mhm,
woman that's being beat. You better not let nobody know how I'm treating you or whatever, or she won't say anything to anybody. Once your
mhm.
voice is silenced, that's all the abuser does. And it's funny how it's common, no matter if it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, they know their purpose is to silence their victim. And they can forever hide about behind that evil that they do. So you're right. The power of our voice is powerful. Like I didn't get delivered from some of the things in my childhood until I started talking about it, you know? And once I
Mhm.
started talking about it, people were coming to me. That happened to me. But the more I talked about it, the more there was no more shame, no more condemnation, and more understanding came because then people were able to talk to me and say, well, you're thinking this way, but it really ain't even that. So if you're out there, and you being abused, I don't care if you're a child or you're an adult, that somebody is saying negative words to you, because even as an adult, you can still get verbally abused. It could be at your job, it could be at home. If you're being verbally abused, use the power of your voice. That's what backs the enemy into the corner. Because when you start saying, look, if they said you dirty, and you say, no, I'm not, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, it backs your accuser up and it takes the power from them. They're powerless because they're used to you accepting it, but you fighting back with words. They fighting you with words, so you fight right back with words with them too.
That's
I'm gonna let
it.
the doctor weigh in on that.
I agree. I mean, the word says it. We believe, therefore we speak. Out of our mouths, it's going to come. It's going to flow. What you believe is going to come out eventually, especially under pressure. That's when you really get to see. And so it is important. But again, we're never too old to learn. There's
Yeah.
many people who have experienced we say in some context, and they're like, "Oh, this is for me." And so I'm like, "Yeah, it's for the child in each of us." Because some of us are still healing from wounds, healing from words. Even to your example, my mom wasn't she didn't tear us down with words or anything. She wasn't the greatest encourager. She was busy working and taking care of us. That's what I remember most about my mom growing up, just grinding and working, making sure we had our needs met. But one time I was 9, that's almost 40 years ago. I did something and oh, she was mad. And I knew it was probably something because I stayed doing little things. And she was like, bring your fat A in here. She said, and that's the only time I remember her calling me fat. She was so mad. Do you know that hurt my feelings so bad? This lady
Oh,
hustling and doing everything to take care of me and make sure I'm fed because getting fed was very important to me. But that broke me down. And that stayed in my mind. So imagine these kids who grown up telling them, God, oh my gosh, some of the some of the things I've said this on another interview, some of the things I would hear some parents say dropping their baby off I mean, I've never been called some of that in my entire life, and they just get out the car like, "All right, bye, mama," like they are immune to it, and so it's unfortunate. And even if you come from a good family, just the society we live in, social media, all of the influences, you're constantly being told something different. So you got to know the truth on which you stand, and it's got to be a solid truth based on the word of the Lord. That's my opinion. That's where
Amen.
my voice comes from. That's how I fight the enemy, because I'm not exempt. The enemy has told me many times is this is too much. Like, don't you just want to go to sleep and not wake up? Just lies. And I know better. I'm a counselor, psychologist. I know better. And I would have to remind him, oh, you're a liar. I will live. God has a plan and purpose for my life. It was fighting back with the power of my words because I'm not exempt. So,
Right, you're right. I remember a friend of mine's, her sister would talk to her kids, cuss them out, not little words, big
no.
syllables words. And the first time I heard it, I wasn't saved, and I was saved, I guess. But I wasn't walking in Christ. And it horrified me because I've never heard anybody cuss out their children like that.
Mhm.
And so her children even now have issues. They grew up in the streets. A lot of them was stealing, all types of issues. Every single one of her kids, they were kind of known as, her kids were bad. I hate to say that word, but they were just bad. But it wasn't it. It was what they were being called at home and stuff. And it used to be heartbreaking to me. Nobody in the family would say, "Hey, don't talk to your child," like, because she would cuss them out too. So everybody was like, "That's just how she is." And I remember the last time I seen her a few years ago, I was at a funeral. And I asked her one question. I was like, "Oh, hey, I didn't know you moved back here." Blah, 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 blah. And at this time, I was like, "Look, I just asked you a question. You had to get like that with me, because I'm like, you need to calm down, sis. You still ain't calmed down. Your children got issues because you had issues. But a lot of that comes from people are parenting from an unhealed place. But that's a whole nother show, ain't it?"
It is. And there's a book
So,
called What
yeah.
Happened to You. And I think our question has always been, what's wrong with you? But it is a book that says, no, what happened to you? Because nobody's born like that. Something
Yeah.
along the way, whether she resentful, whatever, maybe raising kids by her, whatever the case. It could be many scenarios. But that's not normal or natural. That came from somewhere. And those kids that everybody's talking about that's bad or whatever, it can start there. So what are you doing to change the trajectory for that child? The same
Yeah.
way you said you waiting on someone to, what are you doing to make a difference? Because like your cousin, all it takes is one person to
Yeah.
show them something different, to tell them something different.
Mhm. Yeah. You're right about that. So tell us, what's next with you?
I am just expanding. Guys got me out here, and I'm rolling. I think one of the posts you shared, it was just that obedience and whatever he asked. And so again, children's books. That's not my goal, but that's where I'm at right now. So right now, I'm working on the pre-launch of my next. It was a curriculum written 12 years ago, called My Time, and it was for girls, and it's now evolved into a curriculum. Thanks again to my publisher who said, "Oh, Tiffany, it needs to be a book with this curriculum." So here I go creating a character to go along with the book and the curriculum. So it's becoming her. And my pre launch actually begins officially on the 20th in 2 days, and it's released in September. So I'm excited about that. And as I mentioned, we're working on the fifth volume of our anthology with Moments for Moms. And God told Juanita to do our Moments for Moms magazine, which is typically only twice a year. She does one in the spring, one in the fall. And he told her, I want you to do one September, October, November, December. So I'm an editor now in the magazine. So getting to like reach out to the women in my life saying, I need your story for this issue. That's exciting. So and my sister, who's not a writer at all, getting her on board. So she's on volume 5 with me. And I had her, she wrote in our spring magazine and the tears that she shared when she wrote, and she talked about how cathartic and healing it was for her to write. So seeing I have I have a friend group that's 60 something, and the other two are 70s,
Uh-huh.
who are writing for the magazine and remembering and going back. So it's just I'm enjoying coaching other women and sharing their stories because I'm being free to share mine. So that's all of that is, and then whatever from there. I'm just going as the Lord leads.
Get you an author. Go, girl.
To God be the
Go,
glory.
girl. I'm so happy for you. How do we get the magazine?
Moments for Moms, actually, my Facebook page, Tiffany Sayles. You can follow me on there. We do
Okay.
have a Moments for Moms community, but we typically start sharing that information as they get closer to lunch, as far as the magazine time, when the issues start rolling out. So September will be the first of these four, that will be posted on my Facebook page, or reaching out to me via email. We'll make sure you get what you need if you just reach out.
Yeah. Okay.
Connect whoever you need to connect with.
Okay,
So,
so it's time for us to go. So what I'm gonna do, let me pull up your Facebook page so I can start sharing your Facebook page. Let me see here. And I want you just to give us a 2 minute closeout. This has been awesome. I really have enjoyed talking to you tonight. And even I'm not a mom, but it was relevant for me because, children are a concern to me. I know our children, they're not protected like we were. It was things we couldn't hear. Our parents wouldn't let us hear cuss words, like I don't know if you ever remember Millie Jackson, but like Richard Pryor, all of them with the dirty mouth. So we had to leave the room or we would
mm,
sleep when they listened to stuff. So things have shifted so much. Our kids have stuff right there in their hand that
yes,
we definitely wouldn't expose them to. So thank you for this talk. Thank you. And ladies, if you're a mom, please reach out to Dr. Tiffany so she can get connected with you and get you some support. So Dr. Tiffany, give us a 2 minute closeout and don't forget to put that contact information up in there.
yes, ma'am. Well, I will say this is something that my pastor oftentimes says, that time is our most valuable commodity. So for you to take the time to either tune in tonight, or to watch a replay, or to visit my website. Thank you, Dr. K, for pulling it up. And shout out to my photographer, Princess Rogers, behind the frame of photography. She keeps everything good. I appreciate that. But I would like to connect with you to help you find support and resources that's needed, because we all need that. But I thank you for investing time in you to take the time to listen and learn more about the things that I do. And I would love to support you in your journey of becoming you, greater you. So stay tuned to everything that's coming up. Thank you for showing, Dr. K. You should see Becoming Her. And don't forget, yes, she's on my website, drtiffanySayles.com. I'm on Facebook, Tiffany Sayles. And if you're old school, you can email me, TiffanySayles2024 at gmail. I would love to connect with you and support your journey as well.
All right. Join her email list. Give them your email one more time.
TiffanySayles2024 at gmail.com. I
All
also
right.
have a YouTube page that reminds me, which you can access that from here as well. So I have two videos currently tagged, but you can click on the YouTube icon and it will take you to my YouTube page, which is author Dr. Sayles. And all of my recent videos are posted there as well. You can get to know more about me. And
Well, what
we
about this Monday prayer night?
Yeah, so that's part of the Moments for Moms. Juanita, she started that earlier this year after our conference, because we do have an annual conference, and I went to the first one. Well, I went to the second one this year for the first time. It was amazing, and a spinoff from that is she started in April. Every first Monday, we have prayer. So women, mothers, you don't have to be a mother. You can even be a man and join us. It's usually posted. I share the link every first Monday. So our next one will be, I think it's September the 4th. Every first Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern. We are there, and we would love to use the power of your voice.
Okay, so they go on Facebook and connect with you. They'll be able to get the magazine and also join in the prayer.
They could join the prayer, they could join the community, whatever they need. We can have a conversation. We can email, whatever works for you. We can message one another on Facebook. But any way I can support, I sincerely mean that.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for the resources for mothers and the advice. And thank you for using your gift to write to these young babies to encourage them. Your book might be just what a young lady or young little boy needs to make them read and say, hey, it ain't about what they say. It's about what I say and we say about me, what God and what I say about me. Words are so important, and we
So
just don't realize how important words are. So I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight to the Ruby Girl Talk Show. As always, I'm looking for guests, and then the Ruby Girl Experience is coming up, y'all. So y'all just stay tuned. So Dr. Tiffany, thank you. Y'all go out to Amazon. You can pick up her book on Amazon, or you can also order it on your website also. However you want to support, just make sure you support her. Okay, all right, y'all, we're signing off Facebook. Y'all have a glorious, fantastic day.
good night.